I am pretty depressed right now. Um, Not functioning well at all. The doctor changed up my medication again. I've been on everything um, under the sun. But, you know, it's just something I deal with. I think that I'm empathic, and but that's a whole nother subject. I've been ruminating really on this young man's death. XXXTentacion. XXXTentacion. And I'll say that one time because I mean that's what he wanted to call himself, and so that's what I'll call him. That's what I'll call him that first time. This from now on it'll be X. He was a troubled young man. And I understand he had some charges against him for assaulting, beating, for domestic violence against his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, but at the time his girlfriend. And pretty graphic, horrendous stuff. You know, hurt people tend to draw one another. When children go through trauma in their lives, especially violence, physical, sexual, spiritual, verbal, all of it is spiritual abuse. All of it is breaking a child's spirit, you know, spirit in terms of their personalities and how much autonomy they feel over themselves and their lives. And also it hurts them spiritually, literally in the spiritual world where they could have the most power. It's hard. It's an abused person can be a very powerful spiritual person because of the pain they have to fight in their life. So you usually will sometimes just automatically go into spiritual mode and produce very powerful spiritual things, manifest powerful things from spirit, just automatically, just to survive. And according to how this young man lived as a child, being passed from hand to hand, not some of them not relatives. You know, I think he went through a lot of abuse, and he said that he did. He went through abuse, but he never mentioned sexual abuse. Um, I wouldn't rule that out. Um, but I just recently, because I've been following this, it's just like, oh, I didn't know anything about this young man, and then I heard about the the murder, and then I saw the photo. It broke my heart to see that photo. I wish they wouldn't do that, but they did. The photo was out there of him dead in his car. And then I looked up some of his music. Um, Sad is haunting, and it speaks to me, a 47-year-old woman who suffers from depression and anxiety. Just that little bit, you know, and yes, that's manipulation and abuse when you say to somebody, suicide, I'll commit suicide if you ever leave me. Yes, that's some manipulation, and that's mental abuse. But hey, guess what? This is not a a therapist. This is a man talking about what he is, feels, and does. And the reason why it spoke to me is because of the sad and low, and also because of the idea that suicide is an option at all for anything. And I tell people all the time, the only reason I've never committed suicide is because I believe what I'm running from on this side will greet me on the other side. So, you know, all of the people who are saying, this is a bad person, he did bad things. Remember, this young man was 20 years old, and he was an old soul, because I looked at some of his later interviews. I didn't see any earlier stuff, but I looked at some of his later interviews, and my God, some of the stuff was just like, okay, sir, calming on down. I think you're just going a tad bit over into la la land here. And his thoughts on race relations left something to be desired. But the things that he thought about and how he thought about them were very advanced for a young man his age, especially if you're in an environment where you're making you are just seem like an overnight sensation, and you start making millions overnight, just about, and you're surrounded by women who want to give themselves to you, and you're surrounded by yes men right away. And he was very intuitive, so he knew that the people around him, most of them did not care about him one bit, and most of them didn't like him. And if you look at some of those interviews, you'll see that out. You'll see that. And so I just want to say, in the midst of all this, I just learned also that there was a scuffle. And I'm sure people will want to know, a scuffle before he was shot. And I'm sure people will want to know, why didn't he just give up the whatever it was? Somebody thinks people think that it might have been cash in a Louis Vuitton bag. Why didn't he just give that up? And I believe it's because that's just what he did. He just fought. It was just in him. A fight. Just, he had fought all of his life. He had fought. That's what he did. He was just, fighting the world. And I think that was just something that was just in him. And that was just what he automatically went to, was, no, you can't have my stuff. No, you will not take advantage of me. No, you will not run over me. You will not you will not have your way with me. No one will ever do that again, not without a fight. And I think that is why he did that. So, I think about the young lady who he most probably abused. And I think about, how did she grow up? How did she, what abuse did she suffer? Because I'm sure she suffered some abuse. And the old saying, hurting people hurt. It's true. And I don't see, this is not a case where a man is serially raping women and serially abusing women. This is a case of two young people who were broken, got together, and then did broken things. broken people draw one another. If you've been through abuse, then you're going to draw one another. And so if you are the stronger of the two, which is usually the man, then you're going to act out the part of the abuser. And if you are the weaker of the two physically, which is usually the woman, then you're going to act out the part of the abused. But that you're going to act out what you went through until you deal with that situation. It's that simple, and it's that complicated. Um, you know, I spanked my children. I whipped my children up until I realized, what are you doing? It was because of what I'd gone through as a child. Um, so, I mean, it's, people are talking about, should we be listening to his music, or should we be, treating him like a hero, or should we be um, doing, why shouldn't we just not buy his music? And I read somewhere where it said, just let his music die with him. What sort of madness is that? You can't, you don't, you that's you don't, the value of a human life is not that. And what he went through as a child, he put in his music. He eventually found to put in his music instead of putting his fists on a woman. He was evolving. Was he perfect? My God, no. And from what I heard that he did to that young lady, no, he was, oh my God, no, he was not perfect. But and I hate to put a but, because you want to say there's no but behind this. A man beat a woman, so he's a woman beater, so throw him away. I've not heard any more allegations of him putting his hands on women. And I have heard about him fighting somebody else, and he had this beef or that beef or whatever, beef, and all this beefing is about hurt children who are not taking the time to heal. That's what all this beefing is about. And I'm talking about the real beefs, not the ones that's meant to sell records. I'm talking about the beefs where people you meet in the street fighting, where you shooting people and this sort of thing. And also, when you put negative stuff out and into the atmosphere, it comes back to you. And I think this young man was such a so powerful, spiritually powerful, that his karma came back to him quickly. His negative energy came back to him quickly. He manifested quickly, is what I'm saying. For those who know the laws of attraction, he manifested things quickly. And I noted that he spoke often about death and kids, maybe somebody might murder him, or, he spoke often about that, and it just kind of, it was like he was putting it in the atmosphere. So, I just want to upload this video right quick, like in my wig and this lipstick, because let me tell you something. It was all I could do to sit up to do this video right now. I am in that sort of pain and lowness, but that's par for the course. And maybe well, I call it a blessing and a curse. But anyway, I just want to say, it's not as simple, not in this case. It's not that simple. You just can't throw the baby out with the bath water on this one. Even the young lady is grieving. The young lady that he abused, allegedly abused, even she is grieving right now, because I've seen these relationships, these abusive relationships. It's the acting out of what you've been through. And you will act it out unless you address it and let it go. Unless you convert that negative into neutral or positive, it's going to be with you. So I think that this young man was about to do some powerful things in the world. I think that his music, what I heard was very different from anything I'd heard before. Of course, I don't listen to a whole lot of stuff nowadays. Usually, I just keep it on my playlist. Gladys, Aretha, Tina, Patty, Luther, Anita. I keep it real simple. I keep it real simple. I can't be following this one, that one, Lil that, and who that, and when did they do that, and how they did it. Who shot John? I cannot do all of that. But from what I heard from him, it touched my heart. And the interviews impressed me greatly that I saw. So I want to say, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater on this one. You got to look at the situation and in its entirety and know that this was a 20-year-old young man who had to grow up mighty fast and who went through some powerfully painful things, and the young lady who he allegedly abused, and I think that he did, was also a victim of childhood abuse, and that plays out. And so you have to take into account those things and the fact that he was trying his best, and you could tell that he thought things through, and he was trying his best to start doing positive things and to start using his life for positive change. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. It's simple in that we know the formula. It's complicated because we never know how it's going to play out.